I've always collected Nintendo consoles. I've always loved the Nintendo Switch. But honestly, I wasn't sure how Switch 2 was going to fit into all of this. And then I looked at my shelf and realised I somehow started collecting for it. Because the Switch 2 is rapidly getting some fantastic additions, including some titles that you can only get physically on the Switch 2. And looking at these, I think the Switch 2 might actually be becoming a really interesting console to collect for. So, let's have a look at some of the newest additions to my collection, including some surprising releases from Bethesda. That's right, the first game I'm going to talk about is one that I actually saw recently on a game hunt, and it is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Now, again, I've mentioned this one is the only way to actually get a genuine full on-cart physical release. The other versions of this have downloads attached to them, which is a crying shame. And it's kind of insane to think that the Nintendo Switch 2 is the home of Bethesda, owned by Microsoft, physical releases. Absolutely mind-boggling. And from what I understand, I've only played a little bit of this one, this is a bit of a wonder port. This is one of those games that, I mean, it's not going to be as powerful as the PlayStation 5 Pro or the Steam version, the PC version or the Xbox version, but this is a very good version of the game. And I think if you want to have the whole thing on cart, and that does matter to you, I think this is a good shout. Now, I'm going to be honest here, I did get a little bit into the FOMO with this one because reports from America stated that, well, yeah, this one was selling out everywhere, and I think I saw about 5 or 6 posts on the Nintendo Switch collecting Reddit saying, can't find this one, can't find that one, can't find this one, can't find this one. And I saw this on Amazon. You know what? It was reduced down. I think it was $39.99 at the time. Reduced down, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to pick it up. I picked it up, and I think I showed my friend it, and like by the time they went on it, maybe an hour later, it was all gone. I'm not really seeing this one too often. I see it every now and again in places like Game and stuff like that. But it's not one I see too often, but it's one I'm really glad to have. This is very, very up there on terms of the games I want to play next. I can't wait for it. Another game that is on cart by Bethesda is a more recent one. Now, when Bethesda started putting the games out onto the Switch 2, we got the Fallout 4 Download Code Edition. We got the Skyrim Download Code Edition. And it was like, But then they came out and announced, oh, Oblivion Remastered is getting a full on-cart release. Now, I'm going to say full on-cart, there is a very small download, but you do not need any of the stuff from that download to play the game. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's all on there. I think it's like a 600 megabyte thing. I think it's, from what I understand, I think it actually is the Horse Armor DLC, which has kind of came full circle, and that is still the DLC for this. And it's Oblivion. I'm going to be honest, I am a huge fan of the Fallout series. I liked Skyrim. Never really got into Morrowind. I had that on the original Xbox. I never had an Xbox 360 until a lot later, and even then it kind of lasted a few weeks. It was a hand-me-down and then just kind of died. But so I never really played Oblivion. I did play it a little bit on the PlayStation 3, I think it got released. And I think I got to a certain point and just never picked it up ever again. I played a bit of this one last night, and honestly, before I knew it, 2 hours had gone, and honestly, I'm enthralled by it. It's been a while since we've had one of those games where you've just been able to just be put into a world and just be able to go and do whatever you want, create your own little adventure. The last one that really kind of hooked me in like that was Tears of the Kingdom, which was a while ago. Obviously we had stuff like Xenoblade, which is still kind of mission based and you're still kind of following a little bit of a set path, but yeah, I basically created my character, went in, did the whole initial quest, and then just kind of sat myself in a little world. Came across a little ruin, and then it was just like I went in there, dealt with some bandits and a necromancer and some skeletons, and then after that I kind of left that, and I was just kind of like, well, where do I go next? The map was more or less a blank canvas. Yes, I had a general vague pointing, but honestly, This game, I know for a fact I'm going to sink a lot of hours into this one. It's a new game for me. I'm really happy for it. I'm really happy. It's got all the DLC on as well. It's already on the cart as well. Absolutely can't wait to play more of this. Now, people who have been part of this channel for a while know that I love to find games that just kind of blindside me, and games that I pick up and just completely fall in love with. Another game that I picked up, fell in love with, was Maus. PI for Hire. Now, I'd heard good things about this when it came out digitally a few months ago. I still wasn't sure. One of my friends said that they picked it up and they said they got severe headaches, they got nausea and stuff like that, which, to be fair, I have had on a few FPS games, so I was a bit unsure. I love this game. Now, I have actually completed this one. That's how good it was. I actually couldn't put it down. I just kept going back for it. So this is a cartoon noir. Obviously, we know what the basis is from, but it just took me back to a simpler time. Now, I'm not really a huge FPS guy. One of my favourite FPS games is, however, BioShock. And this kind of made me feel like I was playing BioShock to an extent. Maybe it was the time period setting, the way that all the characters talked, the guns that had those upgrades and had that visual upgrade and stuff like that. But there was a lot of familiar action in here. Now, I'm not going to say it's full on BioShock. It's not. It doesn't follow that same kind of whole route. But it is very enjoyable. Now, it does come across, you have a bit of a mystery, you have like a few mysteries kind of like going ahead, and then it kind of all concludes in one big overarching plot. And for the first few missions, I'd probably say the first 2/3 of the game, you are hunting down clues. As it goes on, it does eventually become kind of go to this room, shoot everything, go to that room, shoot everything. A lot of the bosses eventually become kind of guy who stands behind a wall or a barrier and sends tons and tons of guys towards you, compared to the early bits, which kind of felt like the bosses were a little bit more interesting and varied. But I'm not going to put that against it. This was still really enjoyable. The visual style works. I was thinking that first the black and white was not going to work kind of at all, but nope, it works. I would have enjoyed more of this if they released another DLC with another case on or something like that. I would happily pick that up because I'm very much enjoying this, and I would love to have had more. It was still a beefy game. I think it was still about 14, 15 hours or so, maybe 20. I'll put in bottom here how much the Switch says I played. But yeah, a very, very enjoyable game, and I'm really happy that I did try this one out. Next up was a bit of a blind buy. This one got reduced down a little bit, and I saw it was a collector's edition, so I thought I'd pick it up, but it's still an enjoyable one. Super Meat Boy 3D. Now, I played years ago Super Meat Boy, and I always remembered it being very similar to a game that I can't remember the name of, but you were basically a stick figure, and you were basically doing more or less everything you do in Super Meat Boy, kind of going across this like thing and everything's going to kill you. But it was a stick character. Can't remember the name. I used to play it at school, but I can't remember what it's called. So yeah, I never actually owned Super Meat Boy in a physical form. I own it on Steam, I believe. But never actually owned it. So yeah, I thought, you know what, I like this, and we'll see how it translates into 3D. It's still tough as nails. Absolutely very difficult one. But very enjoyable. The conversion to 3D has actually worked, at least in my opinion. And it did come in a very nice looking collector's edition with a nice slipcase, art book. There's more stuff in there as well. Can we get it out? A little lenticular card and stuff like that. I think the stickers and stuff like that as well. You know, it's always nice to see a little bit of effort put in. And when the game's just really enjoyable to play, it's all the more better. A very enjoyable addition to the collection, at least in my opinion. Now, we've got to talk about another game. And now this game is one of those ones where we kind of knew it was going to be popular in Japan, but I didn't realise how good it was going to be. Now, this is Splatoon Raiders. Now, I've played every single Splatoon over the years. The first one, I played a little bit of it on the Wii U. Second one, played a little bit of it, did most of the campaign, stopped. Third one, I was like, I'm going to complete the campaign. Didn't. I spent a lot of time in Salmon Run though. I did spend a lot more time on Splatoon 3 compared to 1 and 2. Very much enjoyed it. Splatoon Raiders is a single player campaign. You can kind of do co-op stuff. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's the salmon run stuff, but it also feels kind of Pikmin-y in some ways. I don't know why. It kind of gave me that vibes. Again, I very much enjoyed this one. I really am enjoying it. But again, it's another one I picked up. I played it for about 5 or 6 hours, and then I put it back. The reason I put it back was I was playing Mouse PI. I wanted to finish that, and I just never went back to this one as of yet. It is very much next on my to complete list. I want to complete this and Indiana Jones before I get to Oblivion, or too deep into Oblivion at least anyway. But a very, very enjoyable one. Are you guys enjoying this? Because this is one of those ones where I think a lot of people have picked it up and kind of very much fell in love with it, and it's very much became one of the poster child for the Switch 2 being worth picking up to people who may already have like a PlayStation and not really needing physical forms of a lot of games. But yeah, this one, fantastic release. And the next one, this was a bit of a vanity buy. Now this is a game that is so important to me. This game is probably the most essential games I've ever played. I would not be here without this game. And it got yet another re-release with more content on. How many times have I bought this game? Original, collectors, 3DS, Switch. I recently bought it. In another video. I bought the collector's edition. Of course, it's Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. It's been a good 6 years since I played through this game. Maybe it's time I go through it again. Honestly, this is one of those ones, this franchise is absolutely huge for me. I've mentioned this game time and time again. Absolutely essential. It came at a time when I was really very much not enjoying games, very much not enjoying life. This game, I'm happy to say this game saved me. This game saved me from a lot of things. And I will always support another re-release of it. Am I going to get the other 2 free? Possibly. We'll see how it goes. So the Nintendo Switch 2 has very much become a console that I am collecting for. I'm not going for everything. Even when I looked, I was like, oh, do I go for a full set? Limited run, I'm not going for their stuff unless it's something I really want to play. Like I wanted the Tomb Raider, but I think it was about £60 by the time I imported it. So they really jacked up the prices. I will go for stuff like Lost and Cult, Fangamer and stuff like that. I don't want every release that they've got. There's still a few games that I kind of looked at and I was just like, oh, I don't really want that in the collection, don't need that in the collection. But I am going to try and pick up as many Switch 2 games as I can afford. And, well, things are starting to run out in terms of space already. But there was another game I did pick up. Now, this is not a Switch 2 game, but it does have a Switch 2 upgrade path. And when I bought this, that was kind of part of the intention. Once Upon a Katamari. Now, I am a huge fan of the Katamari franchise. It's one of those ones that it's just so much fun. One of my favourite games on the PlayStation 3 was the Katamari, I think it was Katamari Forever. But yeah, I actually bought this. This was reduced down. I think it was reduced down to about £15–20 on Hit. And the only reason I bought it is because there was a rumour going around that it was going to get some DLC. And I was just like, oh, you know what, I'll pick it up now while it's in my memory. Picked it up, it arrived. Very next day, oh, there's a Switch 2 edition. This has got a Switch 2 upgrade path. Of course, you got to download it, but you know, I mean, I don't have to. I can still, the Switch 1 version still runs pretty darn fine. But yeah, it's not a Switch 2 game, but I thought I'd include it with the Switch 2 stuff because it is a Switch 1 game with a Switch 2 upgrade path, which does seem to be coming more often from Bandai. I believe the Digimon game has that. That is one I do want to pick up at some point. I can't remember if it does or doesn't, but I know there's a new Tales of game, Tales of Eternia, a new re-release of that one or remaster of it. I can't remember if that does or doesn't have the upgrade path, but I probably will pick it up anyway. But yeah, Once Upon Katamari, another one where it's kind of, yeah, it's nice to see more. It's not really a Switch 2 game, but it kind of is as well. I thought I'd throw it in as a little extra talk about at this point. Very enjoyable one. Very enjoyable game indeed. But yeah, those Switch 2 games are very much what is making me enjoy collecting. Apart from Xenoblade, all of these games are new to me, and I've had some really nice surprises. Mouse PI, I didn't really expect to love as much as I did. Super Meat Boy, I didn't expect to be such a good version of it. Oblivion is just gonna take over me. And Indiana Jones is one that I was holding off for a very, 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 very deep discount on the PlayStation 5, but to have a physical, actual version of it, I'm chuffed to bits. Switch 2, even looking in the future, September is going to give us Fire Emblem, Trails in the Sky. I think there's a few other games as well that I'm going to pick up if I see them. And honestly, Switch 2 is becoming very enjoyable. It's not kind of as ridiculous as the Switch 1 is, where there's like hundreds of games that I'm still missing. And I'm just finding constant fantastic hidden gems. But it is one that I am very much enjoying collecting. Not a full set. But you guys let me know in the comments what you think as well. Are you enjoying collecting for the Nintendo Switch 2? Are you going for a full physical collection for Switch 2? Or are you just buying stuff as and when you can and find them when you do? Let me know. If you did like this, leave a like, consider subscribing, it really helps, it's absolutely free, and lets me know if you guys are enjoying this kind of content. And I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.